It's tax time again here in Australia, which means it's time to start thinking about your individual tax return for 2022. Today's video is going to be all about how you can maximize that return, maximize that refund when completing your tax return. Hello everyone, my name is Ethan Rooshock, and today's video is going to be all about maximizing your tax return for 2022. So I did a similar video last year for 2021 returns, but I'm back again because there's a few key changes that you need to understand for 2022 returns. I'm going to be talking about the LMITO, or the $420 tax offset that you may be eligible for, and then I'm going to talk about some of those traditional true deductions that you need to have your head around. Now, I am an accountant and have my own accounting firm, Rooshock Accounting, so if you're interested in getting help with your individual tax return, all the links are in the description of the video. And of course, I've got the NFT project Rooshock, where you can purchase an NFT and get your tax return done. And of course, the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, jump in there because you can ask tax questions. There's a whole community of people there looking to help each other out. Now let's look at a couple of the key changes for 2022 returns. So the first is going to be around COVID payments. So if you've received pandemic payments, there's two different brackets they'll fall into. There's some that are going to be non-taxable and there will be some that are taxable. So if I bring this up here from the ATO, and the COVID-19 payments, disaster payments, are going to be tax-free, and then pandemic leave is taxable. Now, normally this will flow through from the ATO if it's a Centrelink style payment, and that will flow through and be in the correct part on your return. But if you've received any other COVID payments, go and do a search on the ATO website for what the payment was called, and then you'll be able to find out what the tax status of that is. Now, the other key change is you're now able to claim for COVID tests if they were for work purposes. So if you've had to go buy a RAT test, for instance, because you needed it to return to work, or you need it before going out and visiting a vulnerable client, for instance, then you're able to claim these. So it's really important to be able to claim this, though, that you have some kind of record of it. So obviously receipts is what you need in an ideal situation, and you need that proof that, well, it was for work. So you can't go and purchase a RAT test that you're just taking for a family holiday. It needs to be for work-related purposes. And the other key area with this is that you can't have been reimbursed for it, or your work can't have paid for it. So you need to have paid for it, and it needs to be for work purposes to be claimable. But that's a key new thing that you can claim this year is COVID RAT tests and COVID tests in general. The next key change this year is the $420 increase in the LMITO. Now, I've done a video on that talking about that, but you're probably going to start to see a lot of, whether it's accountants or whether it's media, start to advertise and go, get your $420 extra back this year. This is going to be factored into your return already, so there's nothing you actually need to do in it, and it's not going to be an additional payment. And that's something I really want to stress because I got asked this a lot the other year when they did something similar. It's not going to be an additional refund. It's going to be included in your refund or payment amount already when your accountant gives that to you or when you do your estimate with the ATO. So, like I said, go and check out that video I've done, see if you're eligible for it, but just understand there isn't anything extra you have to do. You don't have to tick another box or you don't have to claim it. So if you've got an accountant out there saying, oh, we'll make sure you get it back, don't listen to them because it's going to be worked out automatically depending on your taxable income, and it will be included in that estimate figure you're given, and it will be included in the one refund that you get from the ATO. Don't expect to see a separate amount for $420. Now for the fun stuff, let's talk about deductions that you can claim. A lot of these are traditional. I've covered them before on the channel, but I wanted to put them into one spot. So if you're looking to maximize your 2022 tax return, these are some of the key things that you want to remember. And let's start with one of the biggest ones is car expenses. So if you use your car for work, you will likely be eligible to claim it. You need to make sure it is for work purposes. It's not travel between home and work. And then the key thing is deciding which method you're going to do. Is it going to be logbook method or is it going to be cents per kilometre method? Now, I've done a more detailed version on these two methods, so go and check that video out. But the thing is that you can pick and choose which method works for you. So if you've kept all your receipts, then you can evaluate the logbook method. You've done a logbook, see what that works out to you. Then maybe verse that against the cents per kilometre method and choose the method that's going to give you the largest deduction. So the more records you can keep through the year, such as fuel receipts, such as repairs, rego, then at least give you the option of the two methods. Whereas if you haven't kept any of that and you've only just kept track of your kilometres, then you're going to have to go with the cents per kilometre method. Car expenses is probably one of the more complex areas because you really need to understand what is claimable and what's not. And the ATO are quite strict on this in an audit, so make sure you do some research in that area. The next one is work from home expenses. So a lot of people are still working from home and maybe they've got a hybrid model and stuff. And even if you're not working from home full time, you'll still be able to claim for the time you are working from home. So again, we've got a couple different methods. The main two are going to be the shortcut method, which is the 80 cents per hour method, or we've got the fixed rate method, which is a kind of a hybrid model where you're claiming a fixed rate for lighting and heating and that type of thing, and then you still are able to claim other expenses. Now the shortcut method is really easy. Work out how many hours you work from home for the year, times that by the 80 cents, and that's your deduction amount. The fixed rate, you're going to still have to work out the hours because there's a fixed rate portion of that based on an hourly rate, and then everything else you'll claim the work-related expenses of that. So if maybe you're using phone, or you've had to buy a laptop, or you need internet at home, or maybe you've paid for subscriptions, etc. So the key thing is, if you use the shortcut method, you need to understand there's a whole bunch of things you can't claim because it's all incorporated in that shortcut method. The fixed rate method pretty much allows you to claim all of those things, bar pretty much furniture and then lighting and heating, because that's the fixed rate portion, and then you're claiming a percentage for everything else. So again, weigh up the two options, see which one works best for your situation, speak to your accountant about, make sure they're doing that for you. Work-related travel is something that may be new for people in 2022 because people have started traveling again. So remember, if you are away on travel, you may be eligible to claim expenses. So you've had to go pay for flights or accommodation, or maybe it's parking and transport while you're away. You will likely be able to claim this if it's for a work-related trip. Now the key thing is again, you can't have been reimbursed by your employer, or they can't have paid for it. And if you've got a portion of personal and business travel, you need to apportion that. I've done a video talking about work-related travel, so go and check that one out. But again, you've got to remember, if you're starting to travel again, car and travel are going to come more likely, and maybe that means a drop-off in home office expenses. So making sure that, if one thing drops off because you're expending more in another area, you're capturing all that in your return. And the final one I want to mention, because it's something that people do seem to forget, is you are eligible to claim any fees that you incurred to prepare your tax return, and that includes fees you pay to your accountant, your tax agent. So if you paid that in last year, or maybe you've paid for some software like Coinly or ShareSite, Crypto Tax Calculator, or things like that, you're going to be able to claim them because they were incurred for you to be able to complete your return. So especially if you've switched accountants, if you're staying with the same accountant, they should be able to pull through the invoice you paid last year and automatically include it in your return. But if you've switched accountants, make sure you tell your new accountant, yes, I paid this fee. I mean, I always ask new clients and say, did you pay a fee last year to do your return? It's one of the first questions I ask because I'm wanting to include it in their return. So overall, it's all about claiming the deductions you're entitled to claim. I've mentioned it so many times on this channel. The easiest way to increase your tax refund, to maximize your return, is to claim all the deductions you're eligible for, making sure you're aware of those key new changes such as the COVID testing, or making sure that you understand which payments are taxable. And then, of course, lodging correctly. At the end of the day, the other easy way to lodge correctly and save money is to not incur fines and interest from the ATO. So if you do it correctly, you're not going to incur that. And of course, if you're wanting help with these things, make sure you reach out, drop comments below, join the Discord, get help, and make sure you maximize your return for 2022. Keep an eye out. I've got lots of other tax videos on my channel. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.